One. Good evening. We're back for episode two of Raf Silverstone's Safe Base podcast. And Amanda is back for the second part of her story. How you doing, Amanda?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Before we start, you actually have something to say about today.
Yes, I do. Today is May 15th, so it's Hypremesis or Hypermesis HG Gravidarium Awareness Day. HG is what I suffered with and why I was unable to carry to term and had to terminate my pregnancy. There's a lot of warriors out there, including one of my most special friends who managed to carry to term. So there's hope. There's research being studied. Hopefully, we'll have a cure someday or proper treatment. And what we're going to do is in the comments later on tonight, I'm going to attach the link. It's also on my profile on YouTube, but I'm going to attach the link. So if people want to find out more about HG, make a donation, that would be great. Research helps. So shout out to the HG warriors out
Great
there.
cause. Well done. So we got to the point where you was pregnant and you was actually at a ball game and you became quite ill. What happened from there?
Well, what happened was, so I found out that I was pregnant. So I was unable to carry to term. So I had to go to an emergency clinic. It was also during quarantine. So to make the situation worse, I had to go alone. My husband and Jay were downstairs waiting for me, but they couldn't be with me. Um, it was it was extremely hard, and I was also told that that's basically my fate, that I'm not able to carry a child. So it
I'm
was
sorry to hear
difficult.
that.
It was very difficult. So that was right after I had asked Jay to leave the first time, but
Yeah.
because of the situation, he was there for me. He wanted to be there for me no matter what, or so I was told, explained. So he explained to my husband. So we said, come home. So he came home. Things had shifted a bit between Joey, my husband, and Jay. Um, it became more divisive, I would say. Like there was still a friendship. I mean, we are still together. We are still having our meals together. But it very much became separate. Like
Yeah.
me and my husband, me and Jay. And it was,
Yeah, I can imagine it became quite a strained dynamic at that point.
yes, like I don't want to say it was contentious at that point, but we had more conflict than before. It was definitely tense
Can I
for
ask you?
sure.
Can I ask one question? At the point when you were pregnant, were you worrying about who the father was?
There was a conversation that we had where should I have been able to carry? Um, Jason didn't seem to care uh, who's who the father was. It was very much, well, we're a family. Whereas my husband would have wanted to know, I think. He, again, under no circumstances, he was by my side. He's my lifer. That's what we call each other. My partner, no matter what capacity he would ever be in, he'll always be in my life. He'll always protect me. Should we have had a child, he would never abandon me or the child. But he would have wanted to know, and that was discussed. But unfortunately, it didn't even get to that point because I didn't make it past the first term. So
Well, thanks for the clarity. I know it's a difficult
yeah,
question to answer, and I appreciate that.
yeah. Um, so after that, things were moving along, I guess I'd say it plateaued. And then we fast forward, I guess, to the holidays. His birthday is over Christmas. So I decided to make him a birthday party. He told me that he'd never really had a party before. So even though it was COVID, I mean, you could still have people over. I told him invite your friends, invite whoever you want. For some reason, for some reason, he ended up only inviting his brother, which seemed a little peculiar
Very peculiar.
because Well, I mean, I our friends were there, like our mutual friends, my friends were invited, and it just seemed odd, not even his roommate. But okay, and it was the first time I met his brother.
Kind of feels like
Um,
damage limitation,
yeah,
preempting damage limitation.
again, in hindsight, there's so many things that are
Yeah.
like red flags that you can look back on and question. But again, this is a person that I had now lived through another traumatic experience with. I changed my life to be with. Why would I question things? Maybe he just
I
didn't want to see people,
Yeah, I
like
agree.
I
I
was,
agree. I
yeah,
actually
like
agree. I mean, you can be a private person and still have a little bit of a history, but it
of
not mean anything
course.
sinister.
Exactly. Like, why should I have suspected all these things about a person? I wouldn't have had them living in my home, much less
No,
changed my life around for them. So, under that guise, I didn't question it. I just said, okay, your brother's coming over. It's the first time I had met his brother. The party went well. Like, I mean, party, there weren't that many people, but the night went well. We partied, we drank, we had cake, we did the whole thing.
we had
Towards
cake.
Yeah, we had cake. Um, yeah, I got pictures of it. Towards the end of the night, though, his brother, I guess, was getting comfortable in the evening, and they started talking about old times and stuff. And sorry about that. I don't know why that's ringing there. And we started talking about old times and all, things like that. And his brother, I don't know how to phrase it without saying, I guess, outed him or
Yeah,
whatever you want to call it. And a bunch of things came out that I guess we weren't deliberately weren't supposed to know about, find out about. Everything from his past, past relationships, past situations he had gotten himself into, his finances, medical test results, all sorts of things just came out, and it was pretty shocking, to say the least. We had already been together for over 2 years at this point, so I didn't think there would be that many things that would surface.
yeah.
But so
Could
I
could
tried
you
to take it in stride.
could you
Yeah,
pass it off as boys being boys kind of scenario? His
some of
past.
it, some of it. Some of them were direct lies that, you know, we did all this based on his words and intentions and
Yeah,
promises. And so some things just outright changed that. I'm not going to lie. But nonetheless, I was in it for the long haul. So I confronted him. I waited till everyone went home. It still probably wasn't the best time. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. We had all been drinking, but I confronted him when he woke up. And that didn't go very well. It's the first time that he was slightly abusive towards me in treatment.
so what was
Um,
Joey? What was Joey's stance on this then? Was he aware that you were going to have this conversation?
well, this is the thing. Joey and my friends had all heard the same dialogue that I did. But at this point, because things were very separate, it was almost, I mean, we talked, it wasn't almost, we discussed it regarding other things, but it was, if I have an issue with Jay,
This
or
is
even
on
if he,
you.
I'm going to take it out, like he accepted this person. So basically, like I'm the one that was vouching for him. I'm the one that was asking my husband, no, no, believe him. Don't believe what you're hearing, believe him. So, I mean, the issue lay with me. My husband never witnessed, like, he wouldn't have stood by or anything, but it was on me to address for the most part. I know that my
Okay.
husband had a few conversations with him privately for me about me and about the situation, but nothing really came out. But when I confronted Jay, things were not great. And the more that I questioned him, the more abusive his behavior, more toxic it became, more contentious. It's, I like to say with narcissists, it's kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde situation. And eventually, if you keep poking, Hyde's going to come out, and that's who you're going to be dealing with. He's not going to revert back. That's who you're dealing with. So that's essentially what happened. But people need to understand, like, even though this was happening and it was horrible, at the same time, I had this person like continually saying, look, I love you. Like, I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I'm angry. I'm sorry this
agreed.
came, like, I'm sorry, this was in the past. It has nothing to do with you. Like, I'm different now. And that was the main thing, because that was the main selling point, if you want to call it, of this whole scenario, is that he wanted to be different. It's not like I was under some illusion that I was, that he was this ultra compassionate like, I wasn't. I knew who he was, but I was basing it on who he was going to be with me, who he
Agreed.
wanted
I
to
see
be.
that.
So you could say, like, well, why didn't I just kick him out then when I found out about, lies? That Why didn't I? Because I loved this person and I believed that he loved me. I believed he loved my family, and that's why. So, you know, whatever people want to think, that's why. So we continued on that way until the end of spring, beginning of summer. And in the interim, I insisted that he get a job, because,
Not
I mean,
because,
it had been
yeah,
over 2 years at this point, and I would think that a man would, especially given the situation, would want to contribute, wouldn't need me to tell him, especially if he's talking about things like an expanding family. So he got a job, which he was not happy to do. He didn't like the job. And more so, he focused on the fact that I was still asking him questions, which was causing conflict. So he was stressed about his job, stressed about me asking him questions, and stressed about the fact that I wouldn't stop, because to me, I had brought this person into my life. I had compromised my life for them. I should be able to ask questions and get truthful answers. I don't think that's unreasonable.
is it fair to assume that you was completely consumed by this guy?
Absolutely. Look, I wasted years of my life
Yeah,
trying to hold him accountable when, first of all, a person is either accountable or they're not. You can never force accountability on anybody.
yep.
But I was very, very broken and very desperate to believe that I hadn't done all of this for nothing, less than nothing, because we didn't even we weren't even heading towards parting ways and all being friends as the original agreement was. We were really getting to a dark, hurtful place. So the more I continued on, despite the fact that he was treating me very differently,
Yeah.
I just refused to believe that my Jay wasn't there anymore, that the person was, I just refused. I still held on. Even when he was showing me, I was still believing his words that, so I held on until the summer. And then in the beginning of the summer, I got a message on Facebook one day from a girl. She introduced herself to me, and
Who shall
I had
remain
never,
nameless.
yeah, shall remain nameless. I had never heard of her in the over 2.5 years we'd been together. He never mentioned her name. I didn't know who this person was. I might have seen her on his Facebook, but I mean, he wasn't very active when he was with me on social media. Um, anyway, so she proceeded to message me saying that he had dared her, like, to message me basically like, if you do blah blah blah. So she wasn't going to be under his thumb anymore. She was going to message me, do what she wanted. Introduced herself, said that he'd been in her bed before me, he'll be in her bed after me. Just really crude, weird things, telling me that they'd been on again, off again for 30 years, that she was his best friend,
It's a
and that she
very
was,
significant relationship, 30
yeah, it's
years.
like, and I had never heard of this person.
Yeah.
So, which was obviously deliberate. I had never heard of her at this point. And she's saying things to me like that he would see her or call her, that he was crying because we were keeping him isolated, just really bizarre. And at the time, I mean, this man was already 47 years old and he had invited himself, he had asked to be a part of our already established relationship. So the idea of me keeping him here, she's calling me like a home wrecker, like things like this are just bizarre. I mean, it's my home. So I said to her, look, if you want to be with him, if you love him so much and you want to be with him, be with him. I'm not keeping him here. This is his choice.
Yeah, he's a
Anyways,
grown man.
yes. And look, she turned like, I'm gonna say like, it's hard to feel sorry because she was so cruel to me. But if I take that out of the equation, look, I understand what it's like to be manipulated by this person. And if he was giving her even an inkling that they'd get back together, or that she is his best friend, and if he was using our situation for sympathy to keep her on the sideline, like I have sympathy for that because I understand what it's like to love someone that you don't really know. Like you don't. So that being said, when she almost instantly turned on him and said to me, look, like she also said that she had done this before. She had mentioned that she had done this before to his other ex-girlfriend that I since found out is true, like all kinds of crazy things. So I know this was going on before, which is his fault, not even fully her fault. But within like 5 minutes, she was telling me how she actually knows that my husband and I are good people, that this is what he does, that she's had to have him removed from her home multiple times, that he's an abusive druggie, that her daughter wasn't around. Like just all sorts of things. Like, so it was very hurtful because I don't think that this person needed to do this to me in general. But if another woman, much less a mother, was coming to me, I would have thought it would have been to like warn me, and it would
Yeah,
have
of
been up to me
course.
to not believe her. But
And then it's
anyways,
your prerogative then whether to listen to that advice
exactly.
or
If I
not.
want to still
You
believe
can
him,
dismiss
then
it or you
that's,
can keep it.
yeah. But so anyways, we agreed to, I said again, look, I will, if Jay has something to say to me, Jay shouldn't be talking to you or to anybody. Jay should be talking to me.
Yeah.
And I said, so I'm going to handle this with Jay. And she said, look, I'm sorry. I won't message you again. I won't do this again. Jay comes home from work. I confront him about it. Of course, he says, first of all, she's exaggerating. Best friends is an exaggeration, let alone friends, that they stayed acquaintances, that they hadn't been together in years, that they just stayed friendly. He had never complained about, he had never seen her since he had been with me. And look, I don't know what's true, I don't know. To this day, I don't know. I'd like to say that the person, especially during lockdown, wasn't off seeing someone else, but who knows, right? I don't know anymore. So that's neither here nor there. Anyways, he said to me, I promise you, please forgive me for this happening. I'm sorry. I promise you it'll never happen again.
For all intents and purposes, he'd not actually done anything wrong. I mean, in the cold light of day, I mean, for him to keep his private life private, again, even though it's a red flag, he's entitled to that anonymity if he wants it, surely.
My main issue was the fact that she admitted that she had already done this before to at least
Ah,
one other relationship. So to me, like, I would think if you're going to maintain a relationship with this person after they've already like ruined one of your relationships, I don't know, you would at least take precaution, something.
yes.
And like he came to a situation where I was married. So he had tons of opportunity to tell me that he had another girlfriend, another
Yeah,
ex-girlfriend.
of
Like
course.
we're grown people. It's not like I thought I was the first person he was ever with. Like, I mean, come on. Like, he could have told me about her was the point.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
he promised me it wouldn't happen again, that there was no more to the story than she was telling me. And again, I accepted that, but I did give him an ultimatum. And I said, look, if this happens again, it's over. It doesn't matter how we feel about each other. It doesn't matter what we've been through together. If I can't trust you, if you're lying to me again, then it's over and we're going to have to break up. He promised me there was nothing he had to tell me, not to worry. Fine. So we went to bed that night. I woke up the next day and I don't know how to explain it. I was tagged and hashtagged well over, I mean, the police have 3 pages worth of screenshots, like well over 100 times hashtagged publicly on her Instagram and Facebook with my name, pictures of me and my friend Lisa, Jay, calling me a whore, a home wrecker, saying like, mom must be proud, things like I'll win, just these horrific, terrible things like, posting conversations between them about me, about the situation, just really awful things. And I woke him up because he was sleeping beside me at this point. And I said, okay, everything is public now. She blew up our lives public. I want you to address this publicly. I want you to write a post publicly telling her to leave us alone, that you don't want to be with her, that you want to be in this situation.
Okay.
We'll end it. And I said, you have to do that or you have to leave right now. And he promised me a million times he would handle it. He started texting her right then and there, showing me like these evil things as if that would make me feel better. But he refused to post it. He said it was going to make it worse, that she would blow up our situation. I don't know how it could be worse. I mean, I
Yeah.
found out later. I don't know. I didn't know at the time how it could possibly be worse. I looked at it as just an excuse. So I said, then I'm very sorry, you have to leave. Um,
I think that was a smart move at the time. But how long
yes.
did that last for?
He stayed gone. He didn't move back in, but we were still seeing each other. Look, I'm gonna take accountability again. It was a very obvious, once I gave him the ultimatum and he gave me an excuse, like that's it, right? Like there's no going back from that. He made his choice. It's just at the time, this person was also saying, I'm going to fix things. I'm going to get my life together. Like he wrote me letters. He would bring me, like, he came to see me, like crying. Like I went to see him, like, we're going to fix things. So it was give or take. Like we were still arguing about this situation. I refused to let him come back in until he fixed things. That became like that's why I'm in quotations. It became a contentious sentence, fix things.
Yeah.
It was a blanket thing. Anyways, this went on for way longer than it should have. Um, as I said, I went to see him. The last time I went to see him, we had a really bad argument because I wasn't going to just take him back without changes being made.
Of
Not
course.
just in regards to the girl, like in regards to like he wasn't working anymore, he wasn't doing anything. Like he was sending me like nooses and just wrenches and threatening to like hurt people because of the stress I'm putting on him, just really awful things. And
Wow.
yeah, you know, and it's funny because when he sent me the noose, um, the girl that blew this all up, she had mentioned that he had also done the same thing to her and that she had sent him like suicide contact, like, and it's just again like it's very hurtful that another woman would still do that to me after he did that to her. Like I don't know why she wouldn't believe that he did that to me when she's the one that said he did it to her. Anyways,
I
look,
suppose, like you said as well, that love does bizarre things to people.
yeah, look, like, I can't let everything consume me anymore. I It was a very traumatic experience. So when I went
I've
to see
actually. Oh, sorry. My apologies. Go on.
Well, when I went to see him for the last time, we had an argument because he said that, basically all I'm interested in is him fixing things publicly. I only care about what we look like publicly. And that was just ludicrous. I mean, I had just brought him food and money and like all these things. Like he wasn't functioning. So, like, to say that, I was still telling him, I love you. I just can't be with you like this. Like, I
Yeah.
can't. Anyways, we had a fight. His roommate, who is even older than him, was sitting at the top of the stairs. These are stairs to a basement, so they're open stairs, no railing. I don't know how else to explain it other than like roaring. But when I got up to leave because he was arguing with me, he chased me up the stairs. I almost fell down. He was grabbing at me, roaring, all in front of his roommate, who also has a daughter, but didn't see any issue with this, I guess. I mean, I'm 5'2" on a tall day. I weigh 100 pounds. Like Jay's not huge, but he's significantly bigger than me. It was scary. He ended up chasing me through the streets. He was calling our mutual friends. Like, just it was a whole. And that was the last time that I went to see him. And I'd like to say that that was the last time I spoke to him too, but obviously I can't say that
Right, at this point, there's a couple of questions coming online. Do you mind if I read them to you?
for sure.
Why did you keep talking to him after this issue with the pregnancy? Why did you actually keep bringing him back into your life? That's from Trudy in Scotland.
Hi, Trudy. Thanks for listening. Um, I don't know. I honestly, I I don't expect people to understand. Like, I mean, it's just as much awful stuff that was happening. I changed my entire life for this person. I put my relationship with my husband was changed, my relationship with my family, our home life was changed, our financial situation was changed. I mean, even our dogs, we were a family. So it was, I guess, part self-preservation and part just I just refused to accept that I could be so wrong, that I could have done all of this and I could love somebody with my whole heart and hold him in such high regard that I make him a part of my family. Like, this wasn't just some guy I was sleeping with. Like, this
Yeah.
wasn't, he was my family. And I just refuse to believe that I could be that wrong about somebody. I'm not a therapist. I wasn't even in therapy at that point. I should have been. I didn't understand that narcissistic behavior is something that has no reflection of me, that it's not even in his control. His behavior is in his control, but his thoughts are not. And I just really just, I was desperate to not be wrong, that I couldn't believe that somebody would do all of this for their own game. Like, I just couldn't believe it. So I'm being honest. Like, I couldn't accept it. I couldn't accept that I was that wrong. I couldn't accept that I loved somebody who could be choose to be so deceptive and cruel to me. I just couldn't.
Second question from Mark in New York. Was there any physical violence between your husband and Jay at any point?
Um, so we'll get to the actual end soon, hopefully. And closer to the end, obviously, as there was more and more toxicity, more and more fighting, more and more deception. Yeah, my husband, look, he's a man, right? He had also opened up his home and his heart to this person. So there was a level of betrayal on his, he wasn't in love with him, but there was a strong level of betrayal, and he had trusted his wife with this person. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like there are times that it was very hard to hold him back, but at the end of the day, my husband is a businessman. He's a respected businessman. He also co-operates and co-owns my business. I run a pet care service. And honestly, it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. So no, he agreed with me that it wasn't worth it.
Right, at that point, we're running out of time, so we will be back for the final episode in a few days' time. So thank you
That
for your time,
sounds good.
Amanda. It's been absolutely
Thank
superb.
you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Take care.
Take care. Bye bye.